We might be only in Week 9, Commanders Nation, but make no mistake, it is do or die on Sunday Night Football versus the Seattle Seahawks. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today we're going to preview this Sunday Night Football matchup between the Commanders and Seahawks and what feels like a must-win scenario for the Burgundy and Gold before the NFL trade deadline. But make sure you guys join us on Sunday night for this crucial matchup for the Commanders. We're going to be starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a little bit under an hour before kickoff. And, of course, we'll have live play-by-play and analysis of the game itself, followed by our extensive post-game coverage. Hopefully the Commanders can turn around their season here, so make sure you click that subscribe button and join us for all of our videos and live shows that we do here on the Commanders Report this season. So let's dive right into this matchup here. The 5-2 Seattle Seahawks travel to Northwest Stadium in Landover this weekend to take on the 3-5 Washington Commanders. The Commanders have lost 3 straight ball games and are looking to avoid making it a 4th straight loss here in a game where, if you win, you can get to 4-5. You're beating a pretty darn good, balanced, playoff caliber football team with Jayden Daniels back in the lineup. But if you lose, you go down to 3-6, you've lost 4 straight games, you might be selling at the NFL trade deadline. So plain and simply, guys, this feels like a must-win for the Washington Commanders. Like I said, if you can win, you can feel a little bit of hope. You probably don't sell off some of your veteran players in the hopes that when Terry McLaurin returns to the lineup, you're going to be able to go on a run at the end of the season. But if you lose, season feels over, and they might be selling at the deadline. So the implications for the trade deadline are going to be massive in terms of the result of this ball game. The good news is Jayden Daniels will be back this week. He is your superstar player, the best player on the team, period. And whenever you have Jayden Daniels on the football field, you have a chance of winning that ball game. We saw that a lot last year. But the bad news is he's going to be without his Robin here. Terry McLaurin is out yet again with the same quad injury. He re-injured it last week versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And of course, we've seen the difference between what this offense looks like with Jayden and Terry both on the field at the same time versus them being injured, and it's not pretty. So hopefully Jayden is going to be able to lift up this group even with Terry out of the lineup. Let's shift our focus here to the Seattle Seahawks and the coaching and scheme breakdown. Mike Macdonald is their head coach, their second-year guy. He's got a 15-9 record. He's done a pretty darn good job there in Seattle. He runs a Macdonald 4-3 under scheme, lots of different blitz looks, 2 high safeties, really a lot of nickel as well, and he calls the defensive plays here in Seattle. Then on offense, new offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak's done a really, really good job running that new school Shanahan offense they took over from New Orleans and previously from the San Francisco 49ers, of course. Take a look at the offensive ranks and where this Seattle offense ranks among the rest of the National Football League, and it's a pretty darn good unit. Top 10 in scoring offense. They're only 11th in total offense, which surprised me a little bit, but they're a really efficient football team, and they really do have a lot of explosive plays in this offense, and we'll talk about that a little bit later with Sam Darnold. They do give away the football quite a bit, 12 turnovers in the first few weeks of the season here, their first 7 games. That's 26th in the National Football League as we stand here today, but they certainly have their weaknesses. They're not very good on third down. They can turn the football over as well, and they don't really run the football all that effectively either. You guys can take a look at their offensive personnel. You got Sam Darnold, their free agent acquisition at quarterback. Then you got along the offensive line, I'd say their tackles are pretty good. Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas are both having solid seasons. Gray Zabel, their first-round pick out of NDSU, is also having a very solid season. I will say their center and their right guard combination is not the best in the league. But then you get to Jaxson, Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp. You got Kenneth Walker as kind of their top 3 kind of weapons there. And then you got Elijah Arroyo, a rookie tight end out of Miami, and Zach Charbonnet there as their backup running back. Then you get to the defensive side of the ball, and this is really where this group is really good. All right, they're top 10 in most of the key metrics that you look at. Now, I would say they're a little bit weaker against the pass than they are against the run. They are so stout against the run. They don't turn the football over that much. They're around league average in terms of turning the football over, but the final product there is the 7th best scoring defense in the National Football League. McDonald really knows what he's doing from a schematic standpoint, and this group does a good job executing his scheme. You can take a look here at the defensive line, what we can expect from these guys. DeMarcus Lawrence is their Leo. That's kind of the bigger defensive end type in a 4-3 under scheme. You got Jaron Reed, Byron Murphy, and Leonard Williams, probably maybe one of the best interior defensive line groups in the National Football League. So far this year, Byron Murphy has really broken out as a real good nose tackle for them. And then Derek Hall is a really good Sam linebacker. Can get after quarterbacks for sure. And they've got good depth at the edge rusher position as well. They got Boye Mafe. They got Uchenna Nwosu. They've got a good group of edge rushers here in Seattle. One of the better pass rushes and also run defense units in the National Football League. They also have a decent off-ball linebacker duo in Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight. Those two, will be certainly there to help clean up in the run game, do all those things. Not anything special from these two, but certainly good enough. Then you get into the secondary where you got Devon Witherspoon, who is an absolutely fantastic number one corner. He usually plays in the slot for them. Reek Woolen and Josh Jobe are their outside corners usually when they play a nickel. And then they've got Julian Love and Kobe Bryant as their two safeties. Again, they play a lot of split safety stuff in this defense, so there's not really a true free safety, strong safety dynamic, really. Both those guys play pretty similar in terms of their role in this defense. So still to come here on the Commanders Report preview for Week 9, my keys to victory versus the Seattle Seahawks. I've got my scouting report on Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold and what the Commanders can do to stop him. Then I'll get into my official Week 9 score prediction for your Washington Commanders. But before we get into the rest of today's show, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Harry's. And I don't have to tell you guys that maneuvering the men's razor space these days is a bit of a nightmare. The quality products are always super expensive and refills are equally as ridiculously expensive. And when you try and save a little bit of money, you get stuck with dull razors that irritate your skin. That's exactly why I switched to Harry's Plus, and I haven't looked back since. Harry's Plus has an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face, refined blade tech for a closer, smoother shave, and a weighted metal handle, which is Harry's heaviest handle ever for added control and comfort. But I think the best part about Harry's Plus is how affordable it is. Harry's owns their own world-class blade factory in Germany, no outsourcing, which means no middlemen, and because they control the entire process from steel to shelf, they keep costs low and pass the savings on to you. And if you don't love your shave, Harry's will make it right, no questions asked. Their risk-free trial means there's zero downside to giving them a shot. And just to show you guys that I actually use this product, I actually brought my own Harry's Plus razor to show you guys today because I really do use this product and I really do love it. And what I really like about Harry's Plus, guys, is I like the metal handle, okay? Like the previous Harry's products, they were still pretty darn good. The blades are still the same. They're still really, really high quality, but it was kind of lighter and it was kind of a plasticky feel. But with this, you get a little bit of heft in your hand, and it really feels like premium quality shaving products, but you don't have to break the bank to be able to get a really great barbershop quality shave. So for a limited time only, our listeners get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head on over to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer, and after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. A big thank you to Harry's for sponsoring today's edition of the Commanders Report. My first key to victory for the Commanders to take down the Seattle Seahawks and get the upset is to make Sam comfortable, or Sam Darnold uncomfortable, okay? And Sam Darnold, one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League, in my opinion. I think that he's a good franchise-level quarterback. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a bona fide superstar or anything like that, but he's got legitimate arm talent. He pushes the ball down the field. He can throw the ball with play action over the middle of the field, all the modern kind of Shanahan stuff that he has run in Minnesota and Seattle over the last 2 years. He's one of the best in the league at doing that and mentally processing defenses to pick apart these units that he's going up against. Now, some of the cons, sometimes he'll throw the ball into a window he can't make it in. Sometimes that decision-making can be a bit muddy. He can't hold the ball trying to hunt for those big plays at times, and then he can crumble under pressure at times. Just look at the last 2 games of his season last year with the Minnesota Vikings. When he faced more pressure, he completely crumbled in those circumstances. But when you look at Sam's advanced numbers this year, most of them are right up there with the top in the league. I think he's playing at a top 10 level right now. And, I think one of the things that really stands out to you is the efficiency, all right? Number 1 in the league in yards per attempt. He's number 1 in the league in big-time throw percentage, so that ability to throw the ball into tight windows with excellent velocity and touch and accuracy is as good as anybody in the league. And, the average depth of target, almost 10 yards past the line of scrimmage every single time he throws the football, which is first in the National Football League. And as a result, he's a top 5 producer in EPA per play. So excellent quarterback. This is certainly going to be a challenge for the Washington Commanders, and they have to take away the deep passing game. And I think the biggest part of that is to double Jaxson Smith-Njigba, okay? This guy is one of, if not the best receiver in the game today. He's in the running for Offensive Player of the Year, and he's almost already approaching 1,000 yards on the season, okay? He's got 819 on the year so far. Just astronomical numbers here. 50 catches already with 4 touchdowns. And listen, man, it's not like I'm the first one to come up with the idea to double this guy. Most teams try and double him, and it still doesn't work. So you have to really do a good job pressing him at the line of scrimmage, giving him safety help, maybe do some trail technique and some dog and cone coverages, stuff like that, to be able to take him away. And, it's going to be a tough task because he is one of the better route runners in the league, and Sam Darnold and him have an excellent chemistry, but it's a must if the Commanders want to contain the deep passing game here in Seattle. Then when Sam Darnold does potentially make some mistakes, puts the ball on the ground, puts the ball in harm's way, you got to capitalize. You can't have a tip ball in the air and have it drop to the ground. You can't have a fumble and have them recover. You got to have those kind of plays go in your favor in this ball game, in my opinion. And, we did that a little bit last week versus the Kansas City Chiefs. You got a couple of interceptions in the first half. You got to do that again in this ball game, and then you got to hold up better in the second half, of course. But then I think a big thing for the Commanders in order to win this game would be to bench Bobby Wagner. Now, I just want to make abundantly clear, I don't think the coaching staff is going to do this because Wagner is a team captain, because he's one of the all-time greats at the position, because he's a big hub of communication as the green dot for this Commanders defense, and they probably don't want to go away from him when it comes to those things. But, he's just so goddamn slow, man, and he's just getting toasted time and time and time and time again, game after game after game at this point. And, I've been saying it for weeks now, this defense is not going to get consistently better on a week-to-week basis unless Bobby Wagner comes off the field. And listen, man, you got some athletic young guys in this room. You got Kane Medrano. You've got Ali Cahoe, who had a really good preseason. Of course, you got Jordan McGee, who's been getting more time over the last several weeks. But it's time to go to the young guns, man. You got to get some more speed out there, or else these good offensive play callers, like Clint Kubiak, for example, are going to find ways to match up Bobby Wagner on their dynamic playmakers, just like Andy Reid did in the second half of last week's game. And you're not going to have the speed to be able to keep up with those dynamic receiving weapons. But then another thing that you got to do is you got to get the Seattle Seahawks to third down. And right now, Seattle is one of the worst third down offenses in the National Football League. And that's for a reason. And that reason is they like to throw the ball down the field on first and second down. So if those balls fall incomplete, they have a higher rate of getting to third and long, right? So when they're in third down, those third down percentages is more heavy towards the third and long side than the third and short side, which is why their third down conversion rate is lower in this league. It's bottom 10 in the league right now. So if you can get them to third down, you can get them off the field. And, of course, the key to that is to be able to force some incompletions on first and second down. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. We're going to talk about some offensive takeaways here in just a second. But if you want this defense to play better this week, click that thumbs up icon, get some positive momentum and some positive vibes going down there in the chat. Then we get to the offensive side of the ball, and Jayden Daniels, I think, needs to be special in this game. I think that Seattle is going to get the points that they usually get in this football game, and you're going to have to pretty much win a shootout. In order to do that, even without Terry McLaurin, this Jayden Daniels is going to have to really play a special brand of football, and I don't think that you're going to be able to lean on the run game because the Seattle Seahawks defense is excellent at that. They're number 1 in the NFL right now in EPA per rush allowed. So this is a very stout defensive front. They do a really good job plugging up the run, so it's going to be up to Jayden Daniels to be able to carry the load offensively in this one with his arm, and obviously that's what makes Terry McLaurin being out of the lineup so freaking important and such a big blow to the Commanders' chances of winning this ball game, in my opinion. But listen, man, somebody's going to have to step up for this Commanders team moving forward in the passing game, and obviously it can't be Terry McLaurin. It's going to have to be somebody else. And, in some games, Debo has certainly carried the load, and in most of those games, the Commanders have been able to win. But, in some games, Bill Krosky-Merritt in the run game has been able to get some things going. Zach Ertz has certainly been a safety blanket for Jayden Daniels throughout his first 2 years in the league. But Luke McCaffrey has shown some really promising things, had a couple really nice catches and some big-time plays versus the Chiefs in the first half on Monday Night Football. And then guys like Chris Moore, Robbie Chosen, Jalen Lane have all had flashes, but the question is, can they put it all together in this ball game with Jayden Daniels putting together a really special brand of football on display on Sunday night? But then, I think in the run game, obviously, I don't think you're going to be able to rely on it to be able to just carry this group to a win. But I do think you have to go to it eventually. You can't just completely abandon it. And I think when you do go to the run game, you got to be multiple, all right? And what I mean by that is you got to employ Deebo Samuel on orbit motions and on jet sweeps. You got to employ Jayden Daniels on read options. You got to make this Seattle defense think about, who's getting the ball here, okay? Because I think a little bit of the problem with the run game the last 3 weeks is that everybody kind of it's gotten a little stale. It's gotten a little bit predictable on the run game side for the Washington Commanders. I think in this game, Cliff Kingsbury needs to get in his bag and get the ball to Deebo, get the ball to Jayden, use the screen game with Deebo as an extension of the run game. Get creative with how you get the run game going, especially on early downs. And then another big thing is to limit turnovers. Not only do you need to capitalize on their mistakes, but you need to protect the football at a high level. You didn't do that against the Chicago Bears a few weeks back. And, you need to do a better job of that moving forward. This is a Seattle team and defense that does take the football away, though. So you need to do a good job of protecting that football while also trying to move the ball down the field at the same time. And then if it is close, and if the Commanders succeed on both sides of the ball to make this a close game in the fourth quarter, you got to make the play, all right? You got to make that big touchdown drive late, or you need to get that big turnover in the fourth quarter, or whatever that play ends up needing to be made. You got to make that play, and if you do that, you're going to have a chance to walk away with a W. Now, it's time for our score predictions here, guys, so we can take a look at what the trends predict, which predicts a 26-21 Seahawks victory when you cross-reference the Seahawks offense, Commanders defense, Commanders offense, and Seahawks defense there, and what they're averaging points per game throughout the season. But I'm actually going to have the Seahawks win with a greater margin here. I'm going to go Seahawks 34, Commanders 23. I think Bobby Wagner, once again, will be a liability. I think, once again, we'll see some fight from this Commanders team, but I don't really see how they're going to be able to, contain Jaxson, Smith-Njigba when other teams have not been able to, and this Commanders secondary has really struggled this season. So I'm going to go 34-23. Commanders lose. They get to their fourth straight loss. They go to 3-6, and I think they'll be selling at the deadline by Tuesday afternoon. So it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comment section. Predict the score of Commanders versus Seahawks. Do you think the Commanders pull off the upset and save their season? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And that'll be it for this week's preview for the Washington Commanders here in Week 9. We do these previews every single week. So if you guys want in-depth previews for every single game the Commanders play this year, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.